Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Today I will be tier ranking every single book I've ever given 5 stars to. I have seen this video trending on BookTube and I've been wanting to do it because I have a lot of 5-star books, probably way too many 5-star books. I think I, back in the day, used to really easily give out 5 stars, and I try not to do that anymore. I try to be more critical, and because I have so many 5-star books, this might be a long video, so we're not going to waste any time. Let's just get right into it. So I'm going to screen record my computer screen right now, editing me, pay attention right now. So here is my tier that I made on TierMaker. I'm gonna go through every single tier and their titles and explain them. So at the top we have 6 stars. This tier is reserved for the books that have changed my life, changed who I am as a person. They are the books that will stick with me forever. I will never forget them. I'll probably constantly want to reread them. They are my holy grail books. The books that I want put with me in my grave. That's how much I love these books. They're always going to stick with me. So I already know quite a few books that are going to go into this tier, but you'll see when I get to them. And then a tier below that we have You Will Be Remembered. These are also books that are going to stick with me forever. They're just not books that ultimately changed my life, but they're books that I highly loved and I hold in really high regard. The tier below that is I Cried, and this tier is just reserved for the books that pulled so much emotion out of me that I did cry, and because I cried, I gave it 5 stars, but now when I think back on that book, I'm not sure if I gave it 5 stars because it was an overall good book or just because I cried while reading it. So I might have a few books that will fall into this category. We'll just see. In tier 4, a lot of books are going to go into this tier. I just know it. It's called Who Is This? These are all the books that I don't remember the plot at all. I don't remember the characters. I don't remember what happened. All I know is that I give it 5 stars and I don't even know why. So because I have such crappy memory, so many books are going to go into this tier, but this tier does not mean that these were bad books. It just means that these are 5-star books that I probably need to reread just to remember why I love them so much. So a lot of the books that I want to reread will go into this tier. And then the last tier is titled Was I High? Was I high while reading this book? Because now when I think about this book, why did I rate it 5 stars? It wasn't even that good. Thinking about this book now, I know I would have not given it 5 stars had I read it now. I don't feel like a lot of books are going to go into this tier, maybe a few, 3 or 4 or 5, but I wanted to include it anyway, just for the books where I gave it 5 stars, but what was I thinking? Because was it really that good? Was I high while reading it? Which I wasn't high while reading these books, but I might as well have been because I was not in my right mind when I gave these books 5 stars. So those are the tiers. Let's just hop right into it. These are all the books right here. So many. Oh my God. We're going to be here for a hot minute. All right. The first one that has come up is Lover Eternal by J.R. Ward. This is one of the books in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. I think it's book number 2. I do remember really liking this one. It follows Rage, who is one of the main guy characters who I do love. I do remember quite a bit about this one. I'm going to put this one in You Will Be Remembered because it definitely will. The next one, this book has my whole heart. I haven't read it in so long, and that is The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane by Kate DiCamillo. This is a book that I read in 4th grade, and I just fell in love with it. I have reread it since, but it has been years. This one really has stuck with me. I don't know if I should put it in 6 stars or You Will Be Remembered. I'm really torn. I think I have to put it in 6 stars. I think I'm going to put it in 6 stars. We already have a 6-star book right here. This one, I just still remember so much. I'm so nostalgic over it. I want to read it again. I used to have a copy of it. I I don't know if I still do. I don't know if it's in storage, but if I don't, I need to get another copy of this one. This book is just so, so sweet. It's about a little stuffed rabbit who gets lost from his owner, a little girl, and he has to find his way back to her, and he goes on this whole adventure. It's the cutest book ever. Next, we have Lover Revealed. This is book 4 in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. I do remember absolutely loving this one. The main hero we follow in this one, Butch, loved him so much. He was such a unique character in the cast of characters that are in these books. I have to put this in You Will Be Remembered because, yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite books in this series so far. Next, I didn't know when this one was going to come up. It looks like it's in the very beginning. We're starting off with a bang right here. Fruits Basket. There's no question. 6 stars. And it's going to go in the very front. This is the ultimate series that has changed my life, like, so insanely much. A lot of you know, because I know a lot of you are here specifically because of my love for Fruits Basket, which is awesome. Yeah, this series as a whole has just, like, stuck with me since I was 16. I feel like this series really, it's gonna sound so overdramatic, but I'm serious. This series saved my life when I was a teenager. It, like, got me out of the, like, darkest time of my life when I was, like, super, super depressed. There was just a lot of personal things going on in my life that I just feel like I could not get out of. This series was there for me. I read this series while I was in that dark time, and it just, like, lifted my spirits up so much. It was such a comfort to me. Gonna get emotional. It just was everything to me at the time, and I still will go back and reread this series when I am, like, not in the best headspace and I just need something to comfort me. Like, this is ultimately my comfort series, and yeah, it just means everything to me. This is the ultimate 6-star series for me. So yeah, love Fruits Basket. I think you all already know that. Next we have Millennium Snow. I always call it millennial. It's not focused on a generation. It's called Millennium. This one is by Bisco Hattori. If you know the Ouran High School Host Club series, this is also the same author who wrote that series. I love Millennium Snow. Not a lot of people talk about it at all. Ouran High School Host Club is her most popular series, so, like, I understand why, but I love this series. It only has, like, 4 volumes in it, so it's not that long. It is really good. I'm gonna put it in You Will Be Remembered. Definitely check it out if you're into manga. It follows a human, a vampire, and a werewolf, so it's pretty much just like Twilight, but in manga form. It's just like Twilight, but funnier. Like, it has a lot more humor in it, and it's a little more relaxed and silly. Although now that I remember, it does have a little bit of a sad plot line in it though as well, but it's still mostly a comedy. It has a little bit of sadness and comedy in it. It's just really good. Next this is the second book in the Cirque du Freak series. I can't remember what it's called, and I can't see the title of it in the small square picture there, but it's the second book in the Cirque du Freak series. I initially started this series not too long ago because I was participating in a read-along of it, and I don't think I gave the first book 5 stars, but I gave the second book 5 stars. I remember really enjoying the first 2 books that I read in the series. I never continued on, and I think I'd like to someday, but of course I'd have to reread the series. Because I don't remember a lot about it, though, I am going to put it in Who Is This? Because I can't really tell you, like, about any of the characters. I don't even remember, but I would love to return to the series. Next, we have Ouran High School Host Club. Oh my god. I read Ouran right around the time when I first read Fruits Basket. I kind of read them back to back. So Ouran was also such a comfort series for me at that time. I'm gonna have to put it in 6 stars. I love this series so much. I definitely love the manga more than the anime. It will for sure stick with me for all time. I'm actually currently rereading it. I'm picking up a volume here and there when I have the time to. in between reading like novels, and I am enjoying this series all over again. The series has so much humor in it, but it also just hits you in the feels as well. A lot of the themes in this series just hit me so hard and so personally. You can't help but really feel for these characters and what they are going through. It's an amazing series. Really love it. Okay, next one is our interesting one. It is Rebel Belle by Rachel Hawkins. I think I'm gonna I read this so long ago, but I think I'm gonna put it in Was I High? Because from what I remember, I don't think this series was as great as I thought it was. I don't know, because it's been like years since I read it, but I feel like if I would have read it now, I would definitely not have liked it as much as I did like 8 years ago. So yeah, I would be interested to return to this one though, just to see how I feel about it. Next we have the selection. I'm definitely going to put this in Was I High? Even though I only read this one like 2 years ago, and I remember really enjoying the first book, the rest of the books in this series were atrocious. The second and third book was so bad, which is crazy because I loved the first book a lot, but the rest of the series was terrible. The main character got so annoying. It's like she wasn't even the same character anymore as she was in the first book. Just so bad. So I really believe that the first book was not as good as I thought it was, because the rest of the books were terrible, and I did DNF this series. We'll never go back to it. Next I have Choker. I believe this is by Elizabeth Wood. All I remember is the vibes of this book, and I remember that the vibes were definitely there. This is a thriller book, and I know it has a huge plot twist in it that stunned me, but I don't even remember what the plot twist is. For that reason, this will be a fun book to return to, because I cannot remember what the plot twist was. So if I do reread this one, which I plan to someday, I'm going to be like thrown by the plot twist all over again, which will be awesome. But I do remember really, really, really loving this book. I'm going to put it in You Will Be Remembered, because even though I don't remember the characters at all, I do remember the vibes and how much this book like absolutely stunned me. So yeah, we're going to put it there. Really love this one. Next we have Every Day by David Levithan. This one has to go in 6 stars. I loved this book when I first read it. Loved it so much, and I do want to return to this one. I have read it multiple times, and every single time I've enjoyed it so much. The movie is amazing as well, but I do really, really love the book. This is one of the first books I read. I think I read it even before I started BookTube. Like, this book has been with me for so long. It is an older book, but I would recommend to read it if you haven't yet. Next I have Obsession by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a spin-off book from her Lux series. I'm gonna put this one in You Will Be Remembered. I do remember quite a bit about this book, I think. Don't remember the characters' names, but I do remember a pretty good chunk of the plot. This book was super interesting because the Lux series is a young adult series, but Obsession is an adult romance book. Like, it is not young adult at all, but it takes place in the same world as the Lux series, so super interesting. It just has a little bit of a age range switch up there. Next I have Fear. This is one of the books in the Gone series. So I'm probably going to put the entire Gone series in the same tier. This is a series that I read before I started BookTube, over probably 12 years ago. Super long ago, but it was a series that I highly enjoyed. I don't know if I would love it as much now if I were to have read it now as I did when I was like 16 when I first read this series, but it is a series that has stuck with me. I still remember so much about the plot of this series. It's a pretty epic one. I think I will have to put it in You Will Be Remembered. We're gonna put all the books here, every single one, because I gave I gave every single book in this series 5 stars, and I don't, like I said, if I would have read it nowadays, I don't think I'd give every single book in the series 5 stars, but back then I did. Next I have Orange. This is a manga series. I think this is the first series or book that I'm going to put in I cried, because I do feel like I gave the series a 5 stars mainly because it made me cry. It is a super, super sad series. I am more familiar with the anime than I am with the manga. I remember the anime a lot, but I do remember the manga being pretty good as well. Next, this one is super, super random. It is I Am Pushin the Cat. If you don't know who Pushin is, she's pretty much just like Hello Kitty. She's like a cat who is on a lot of merchandise and stuff. She has her own book and it's super cute. I don't even know how to rate this one. Let's just put it in You Will Be Remembered. It's super cute. It's like basically a children's book. I love Pushin the Cat. I have a lot of Pushin merchandise. For those of you who are a fan, do you call her Pushin or Pusheen? I never have known the pronunciation. I always call her Pushin. I love her so much. Next I have Denton Little's Death Date. This is a book that I read, I think like the first month that I started BookTube. Like the original books that I read when I first started BookTube. I do remember really liking this book. There is a second book in the series that I never read, unfortunately. I would love to return to this one, though. Do I remember a lot about it? Not really. I think it's going to have to go in Who Is This? Because I don't remember a lot about it. I do remember what it's about, but not the characters or the plot or anything. So yeah, that's one I would love to return to. By the way, I want to give the synopsises to all these books that I'm going through, but if I were to do that, we would be here forever. So unfortunately I'm not. I'm just giving you like my short thoughts on them. So I wish I could do that, but we'll be here forever if I did. Okay, next we have The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. I remember loving this book, which is interesting because every single Holly Black book that I've read since this one, because this was the first Holly Black book I had ever read, has just been okay. But I remember absolutely loving this one. So it's like her one book that she wrote that I have been in love with. All the rest of her books that I've read so far have just been like meh. Super interesting, but I did love this one. I think I want to put it in You Will Be Remembered. I think there is a lot about the plot of this that I don't remember, but I do remember the vibes of this one and just clicking with it so well. It follows vampires. It was super good. And next we have All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. This one has to go in I Cried. I think that is very fitting because I'm not sure if I were to think back on the entire plot of this book, would it be a 5 stars? But I do know that it did pull a lot of emotion out of me when I did read it. So yeah, it's going to go there. Next is Wicked by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I'm trying to remember if I can remember any of the plot of this at all, and nothing is coming to me. All I know is that it has fairies in it. That is it. I'm going to put it in Who Is This? Like I can't tell you anything about it. I would love to return to it though. I never continued with the rest of the books in this series. I think it's a trilogy and I would love to read the entire series. So I will have to return to the first book someday. Speaking of someday, next book is Maybe Someday. That was a great transition. So Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. This one has to go and You Will Be Remembered. This is another series that I need to finish because I never finished the entire series. I've only read the first book, but I remember absolutely loving the first book. So I will have to return to this one as soon as possible. Maybe someday. Maybe someday I'll get back to it, but no, I certainly will. Next, Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Without a doubt, it has to go into 6 stars. Absolutely my favorite Colleen Hoover book I've ever read, and the first ever Colleen Hoover book I've ever read. It is still remaining at the top for me. This is the only novel that I have, to this day, still have ever read in one sitting. The first time I read it, I started it in the evening, and I stayed up all night to finish it. I could not put it down. I just flew through it. Love this one. It definitely is so sad, but it is one that I will always remember, one that will always stick with me. It is definitely a book that I will reread over and over again. I'm itching to reread it so badly. I just love this one so much. Next, I have Isle of the Lost, and this is the first book in the Descendants series. This series is more popular based off of its movie adaptations, The Descendants. I have only ever read the first book, and I don't plan to ever continue on with this series. I think I read this book in 2015, so it's been a long time. Do I remember anything about it? No. Should I put it in Was I High? I feel like I should put it in Was I High, because I don't feel like the first book is really that great. Like, definitely not worth 5 stars. I'm gonna put it in Was I High. We're gonna put it there. If you guys don't know, the synopsis of this series is interesting. It does follow the children of Disney villains. It's a super cool concept, and I do love the concept of this series, but it's middle grade, and I'm not a middle grade girly, so I probably will never get back into it. But I did like the first book when I did read it. I just know I wouldn't love it as much nowadays. Next, I think it's Beautiful Player. It's one of the books in Christina Lauren's Beautiful series. There's just nothing. I cannot tell you what the characters are in these books, what are their names, what is the plot. I can't tell you anything. Don't know why I give this 5 stars. It's gonna go into Who Is This? This series, what I did read from it was really mediocre. I guess I loved this book the most out of the books that I did read in this series, but it's one I'm never going to return to. Next, I have Lover Unbound by J.R. Ward, one of the books in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. I think this one follows Vicious, which I remember really loving Vicious. I think I'm going to put it in You Will Be Remembered, because yeah, I can recall really loving this one. And the next one is Scorched by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I do remember quite a bit about this one. Like, not a lot of the plot details, but I can recall the vibes. The vibes are there. I'm going to put it in, yeah, You Will Be Remembered. This one and Frigid, the first book, which I guess I didn't give 5 stars, but I gave Scorched 5 stars. I do want to return to this duology because I remember really liking it. It's a like new adult romance duet that I remember loving, so I would love to return to it. Next, I have Another Day by David Levithan. This is the sequel to Every Day that follows the love interest point of view. It's the first book just retold in the love interest point of view. I'm gonna put this one in You Will Be Remembered. Don't think it's as good as Every Day, so it's not worth like 6 stars, but I remember liking it. Next, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. That one definitely is gonna go into You Will Be Remembered. Probably should go into I Cried, honestly, but I feel like the rest of the plot is still good. Like, I didn't just give it 5 stars because it got me emotional. I loved all of this book, so yeah, we'll put it there. Next, we have Stolen. I believe this is by Lucy Christopher. This one is a thriller that deals with Stockholm Syndrome. That is the main theme that we're following. It was a very impactful read, really a hard read as well because of the subject matter. I remember really liking this one, and it's been super memorable ever since. Let's put it in You Will Be Remembered. I think that is fitting. Next, we have Miss Mayhem. This is the sequel to Rebel Belle. I'm going to put it in the same place I put Rebel Belle. Was I High? Well, yeah, we'll just keep those two together. Next, oh my god, Forbidden by Tabitha Zuma. There's no question, 6 stars. One of my favorite novels of all time. One that I still think about like on a daily basis. I'm not even kidding. I think about this book so much. Even months after rereading it, because I reread this one once last year, I will still think about this book on the daily. Next we have, I think it's called Harureal Astronaut. It's a manga. I don't even know what this is. I don't remember reading this. I don't know where this came from. Like, who is this girl? Who is this guy? I don't know what that is. So, apparently I give it 5 stars. Apparently I read it at some point. I have no idea what it is in terms of plot. No clue. Next, The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Still my favorite Jennifer L. Armentrout book to this day. This book means so much to me. So much. For that reason, we're going to put it in 6 stars. This one hit me so hard with its themes and its message, and it's just one of the greatest books of all time. I haven't read it in so long, and I need to reread it at some point. My copy of it got destroyed though, so I need to buy another copy of it. Just have a pretty one on my shelf. I love this one so much. Definitely gonna get back to it someday. Next is When It's Real by Erin Watt. I love this book. I read it again not too long ago. I think it was last year. Love this one. I almost want to put it in 6 stars, but I'm gonna put it in 6 stars. I'm gonna do it because this is one that is still so memorable to me. And I really love the romance in this book. I think we're gonna have to keep it in 6 stars. It's gonna stay there. Next, The Score by Elle Kennedy. This is the 3rd book in the Off Campus series. I think this is my favorite book in the Off Campus series for sure. It's going to go in You Will Be Remembered. Next, I have Warm Bodies. I am way more familiar with the movie adaptation to this book than the book itself, but I did read the book at some point. I feel like this book would have gone into the Who Is This category had the movie not existed, but because I remember the movie so much, like I do remember the book because it's associated with the movie. So yeah, we're gonna put it there. Next we have Fruits Basket Another. This is a spin-off series to the Fruits Basket series, and it follows the main cast of characters' children, so it's like the next generation. Love Fruits Basket Another. Don't love it as much as the original series, of course, but I still love it a lot. I'm gonna put it in You Will Be Remembered because I think that is very fitting. How much more do we have? Oh my god, there's still so many books, y'all. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's keep going. Next, I have The Darkest Star by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This one, I'm going to put in You Will Be Remembered. This tier is getting so full, which is a good thing. This is a spin-off series to the Lux series by JLA. Is it as good as the Lux series? No, but I still really enjoyed it. And the first book in particular was pretty epic. Next I have, this one is an old one, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. Another book that I read when I first started BookTube. I just don't think I would have loved this book as much had I read it now. For that reason, I think I'm going to put it in Was I High. Next, I have The Risk by Elle Kennedy. This is one of the books in her Briar U series. I can't remember anything about this one at all. I'm sure if I were to return to it, though, the plot would come back to me. I'm going to put it in Who Is This? Because I cannot remember. However, the next book in this series, the play, I do remember the plot of this book. For that reason, it's going to go into You Will Be Remembered, because that one I do actually remember. This one, though, I don't remember at all. It's called Dirty Red. It's the 2nd book in a series. I remember reading this book. I don't know the plot at all. Have no idea. So it's going to go into Who Is This? And next we have The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is the 1st book in the Off-Campus series. Definitely is going to go into You Will Be Remembered. I love this one. I want to return to this series so badly. I also want to return to the Briar U series as well, which is the spin-off series for the Off-Campus series. Want to read both of those again someday really soon. Okay, next we have one of the books in the Lux series. I'm going to put the Lux series in all the same tier, I think, because I can't remember what I thought of each book individually. We're going to just put them all in You Will Be Remembered because I love this series so much. So much. It's one of JLA's best for sure. Next we have Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. So Red Queen has always been such an interesting topic for me because I love the 1st book. I started the 2nd book and I could not get into it, which was crazy because I loved Red Queen so much, but the way the series was progressing was not in the direction that I was interested in it going in, so I DNF'd the series. But I was obsessed with the first book, Red Queen, when I read it. The rest of the series was just disappointing. At least the second book was disappointing. So I probably will never get back into that series, but I loved Red Queen. I think I want to put this, I don't know where to put this one, honestly. Ooh. I almost want to put it in Was I High, because I do feel like if I would have read this book now, I would not enjoy it nearly as much as I did back when I read it in like 2016. I'm gonna put it in Was I High, because yeah, looking back, I don't think the book was really that good. It also wasn't that original either, so we're gonna put it there. But I do remember liking it a lot when I first read it. Next we have Nisekoi, and this is the first book in a manga series. I do remember the concept of this one, but I can't recall the plot at all. I'm gonna put it in Who Is This? Don't think this is a series that I will ever return to. Next is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jennette McCurdy. Such a great memoir. I loved her memoir so much. It was so emotional, so like deep and thought-provoking. I adored it. I think I have to put it in the 6-star category because this is one that I will remember forever. It's one that I would also love to reread again, which is crazy because I'm not a nonfiction reader or a memoir reader, but because this was written by someone who I just adored so much as a kid, I was into it so much, and I really, really enjoyed what she had to say about her life, even though it was so like depressing and just really, really sad. It made me feel for her so much. It was such a thought-provoking read. So yeah, that one definitely 6 stars. Next I have The Winner's Curse by Marie Rukatsky. I hate that I can't see the author's names on any of these books because the squares are so small. This is the first book in a trilogy. I think I read the first and second book, but I never read the last book. So yeah, I just never returned to this series, and I probably never will. Apparently I gave the first book 5 stars. I think I'm gonna put it in Who Is This? Because I really don't remember anything about it. Next is Verity by Colleen Hoover. Oh my god, I loved Verity. It is supposed to be getting a movie adaptation. I don't know when that's coming out, but it's supposed to be getting one. I'm gonna put this in You Will Be Remembered because yeah, that book was epic. Next is The Goal. This is the 4th book in the Off-Campus series. Loved this one as well. We're gonna put it in You Will Be Remembered. Ooh, next is Looking for Alaska by John Green. So this is the book that I read when I was 16, maybe even 15. Like, it's a book that I read so long ago when I was a teenager. I know for a fact that I don't think I would have loved this book as much had I read it nowadays, because as I've read more of John Green books, I've realized that his writing is just like not for me. I feel like his characters come off as so pretentious, and I do remember the the characters in Looking for Alaska coming off as really pretentious. So yeah, I don't think I would like this book as much if I had read it now in present day. I'm going to put it in, I don't know where to put it because it's at the time that I read this, it was my favorite book of all time, but I didn't have a lot of books to compare it to because I wasn't a avid reader then. Okay. I'm going to put it in You Will Be Remembered. No, I think I should put it in I Cried because I do feel like the main reason I love this book so much is that it was so emotional. So I think that is fitting. Let's just put it in I Cried because that is probably the main reason why I love this book so much, is that the ending made me cry a lot. So yeah, we'll put it there. Next is Hollow City. This is the 2nd book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. We're just going to put it in the same tier, Was I High. Next is Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. This is another book that I read like the first month that I started my booktube channel, so way back when. This one, I'm going to put in I Cried because I feel like that is the main reason why I love this book so much, because it was a very emotional book. It was a humorous book as well, but it was very, very hard-hitting. So yeah, we're going to keep it there. Next is My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine Warga. I love this one. I do feel like I mainly loved it so much because it was so emotional, so I am gonna put it in the I cried tier. It was a really hard-hitting one. The main subject of it is suicide. It's about these like two characters who have a suicide pact and they plan to go through with it, but you know, things kind of change along the way. As they kind of discover that life is kind of worth living and as they fall in love with each other. It's a cute story, but it is really sad because of the content matter of it. But yeah, I remember really loving that one. Next is Twisted Palace. This is the third book in the Royal series by Aaron Watt. I am obsessed with this series still. Like, I love this series so much. It's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine, but I love it so much. I'm going to put all the books in this series in the same tier. It's going to go into You Will Be Remembered for sure. I'm going to have to look for all the books in this series right here. I love this series. I used to have all the books, but they got lost in my move back to California, so I'm going to have to repurchase the whole series again because I love it so much. Next is Warcross by Marie Lu. I read this book so long ago, but it has still stuck with me. Like, I remember a lot of the plot of this book. It's gonna go into You Will Be Remembered. Definitely one that I would love to return to. Next is The Savior's Champion. This is by Jenna Moreci. This is the first book in a fantasy trilogy. I loved this book so much. And it's funny because at the time when I read it, I was not a huge fantasy reader, but I love this one. I adored it. I'm going to put it in You Will Be Remembered. I need to read the second book in this series, but the thing is, the third book isn't out yet, and I'm really confused because it's been so long since the second book was released, like years, and the third book still isn't out, so I don't know what is going on with that. And I would love to continue on with the second book, but like I don't even want to bother until the third book comes out. But I don't know when it's going to come out because it's been like so long and this series has not been updated yet. So I don't know what's going on with that. But hopefully it'll be released someday because I loved the first book so much. Sorry if you can hear my computer like going crazy. I have my editing software running. I have the screen recording running. So it's just my computer is like being very loud right now. So sorry if that's coming through. And next I have Wildcard. This is the second book in the Warcross series. I'm gonna put that in the same tier as well. Although I don't remember Wildcard as much as the first book. Honestly, I feel like, you know what? Let's put it in Who Is This? Because I remember the first book way more than the sequel. So yeah, definitely need to return to this duology. Next I have The Kiss Quotient. Love this book. We're going to put it in You Will Be Remembered. I plan to reread this book. It is on my 2025 TBR because I have not read the other books in the trilogy, so I need to reread the first one. Next, I have Geekerella. I remember this book being really cute, but don't remember a lot of the plot. So we're going to put it in Who Is This? Not sure if I'll ever reread this one again. It is like a young adult contemporary, but I recall it's reading very young, so I don't know if I'd be as into it nowadays. So I don't know, but we'll put it in Who Is This? Next I have Things We Know by Heart. This one is going to go in I Cried because that is probably the main reason why I rated it so high, because it did make me cry for sure. Next is Faking It by Cora Carmack. This is a book in a series. I remember the first book was called Losing It. I remember nothing about this one. Apparently I rated it 5 stars, but can't recall it at all. So we're going to put it in Who Is This? Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. Oh my god. Loved this one when I first read it. It was a fun time. It's a very taboo book. Deals with a huge age gap romance, but it was so good. We're going to have to put it in You Will Be Remembered. On the Fence by Casey West. We're going to put this one in... Do I remember anything about this plot? I do not. We're going to put it in Who Is This? I do love a lot of Casey West's books. She's a young adult contemporary romance writer, and she does write very young, but I feel like a lot of her books just have so much heart to them, and they're so cute. Next, this is one of the books in the Forget Tomorrow trilogy. I'm going to put all the books on the same tier because I do not remember them individually at all. But I really remember loving this trilogy. It is a dystopian trilogy, and it's actually one of the first books that were ever sent to me for review. So it kind of holds a very special place in my heart. I'm going to put these in You Will Be Remembered. It was a really really, really good series. It would be a really interesting one to return to someday. Next, Too Late by Colleen Hoover. That one has to go in... I should put it in Was I High, because really this book was so crazy that it should go there. But I loved it too much to put it there. Like, I feel like if I would have read it now, I would still love it. We're going to put it in You Will Be Remembered. I think that is very fitting. Next, Where the Crawdads Sing. This one has to go in I Cried, because I do feel like that's the main reason why I rated it so high, although the rest of the plot was really like touching and like thought-provoking, so yeah, but we'll put it in I Cried. Yes, okay. Next one we have is A Court of Thorns and Roses. Oh my god, I've been waiting to get to this one. That has to go in. I don't know if I want to rate these books individually. Like, let's see. I think I will. I think I'm going to put ACOTAR and You Will Be Remembered. However, A Court of Mist and Fury, that has to go in 6 stars. That is the best book in the entire series, for sure, at least so far. I love the plot of the second book. Love the romance. Love the found family aspect. Love everything about it. It is so magical, so mystical. It's just the best. And y'all know, if you've read the series, ACOMAF is the best. It just is. We all know that for a fact. Next we have From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I loved this book when I first read it. However, I feel like the rest of the series has just been meh, which is really disappointing. I did like the second book as well. In fact, yeah, I have Kingdom of Flesh and Fire on here as well. Rated the first 2 books 5 stars. The third book I gave 3 stars, and then I never continued on with the series. I do plan to get back into this series though, at some point. But yeah, I don't know, the third book was really disappointing, so that was a bummer. But love the first 2 books. I'm going to put them both in You Will Be Remembered. I feel like, you know what, actually, let's put the first book in You Will Be Remembered. And let's put the second book in Who Is This? Because I remember the first book way more than the second book. And I hold the first book in way more high regard than the second book. So yeah, we'll put it there. Next is Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. I read this book so long ago. I think it was like 2018. I feel like I'm going to put it in I Cried, because this book definitely made me cry. I honestly do not remember a lot about this book, but I do recall how much it emotionally destroyed me. So yeah, we'll have to reread that one again when I'm in the mood to be emotionally destroyed. Next we have My Lady Jane. I'm going to put this one in Who Is This? Because I don't remember a lot about what this one is about. I used to have a copy of this one, but I lost it. So I just recently repurchased it because I want to reread this one again because it has a TV series on Amazon Prime. So I thought this would be a cool one to return to so I can read it and also watch the adaptation of it. So yeah, I'm going to return to that one really soon. Finally, we're getting to books that I have read recently. So they were like at the very bottom of all the pictures. So yeah, we have Twisted Hate and Twisted Games, book 2 and 3 in the Twisted series that I read last month. Both of these are gonna go in, I almost want to put Twisted Hate in 6 stars, but I don't know if I should, because I reserve my 6 stars for books that are like out of this world amazing. I just loved Twisted Hate so much. But the thing is, am I gonna still love it as much like months from now? Am I only feeling this way because I just recently read it, you know? I'm gonna put it in You Will Be Remembered just to be safe. I need to be picky when it comes to my 6-star books. So yeah, we'll put it in You Will Be Remembered, and we'll put Twisted Games in the same tier. Next we have Love, Life, and the List. This is another book by Casey West. This one I do recall is like, it follows the travel trope, and I remember it being very cute. That's about it. Let's put it in Who Is This? Because I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of plot points about it that I still don't recall. Next, oh my god, One Small Thing by Erin Watt. I reread this book this month and fell in love with it all over again. It is an amazing novel. That one has got to go in 6 stars, without a doubt. The theme of this one just sticks with me so much. Love the romance. Love the message of the book. So good. Definitely one I will always remember. Next is If There's No Tomorrow by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I think I want to put this one in 6 stars. I think it is going to go in 6 stars. It's like almost on the same level as The Problem with Forever by JLA. We're going to put them right next to each other. These two are such emotional books that have stuck with me through these years. Yeah, we're going to put them there. We're going to put them together. Next is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Oh my God, love this one. Loved it when I first read it. I need to read it again. Apparently, it is getting a, I don't know if I think it's a movie adaptation that's supposed to be coming out on Netflix. That was announced a long time ago, so I don't know when that's happening, but I would love to see it. That one, this is it's gonna go on You Will Be Remembered. Loved it so much. Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. 6 stars. 6 stars. I've only read this book once though, which is crazy because the majority of my, I think, except for I'm Glad My Mom Died, I've read all these books more than once. So I need to reread Far From the Tree again so badly, and I plan to really soon. This was such an impactful read. So deep, so insightful. You gotta read it if you haven't yet. Next we have Long Way Down. I do remember like the concept of this book. Don't remember the character at all. I think I rated it highly because it did make me cry. It was very, very emotional. So we're going to put it in the cry tier. We also have A Court of Frost and Starlight, the novella in the ACOTAR series. I'm one of the few that actually loved A Court of Frost and Starlight so much. Definitely not as much as like A Court of Mist and Fury, but I am going to have to put it in You Will Be Remembered because I adored it. It was so cute. Okay, we're getting there. We're almost done. Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Loved it. Loved it. It didn't make me cry, but I feel like it's very much deserving of You Will Be Remembered because the entire plot of it was so, so good, but it did make me cry, as do a lot of Colleen Hoover's books. Uzumaki by Juji Ito. This is a manga series, and it's super, super scary, but it's super, super good. I'm going to put it in You Will Be Remembered because it is a very memorable series for sure. It did get an anime adaptation. It got a 4-episode anime adaptation that came out just recently, and it was pretty good. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the anime as well. Next, we have November 9 by Colleen Hoover. I knew this one has to go in 6 stars. Oh, I love it so freaking much. This is such a cute story. Sad as well, but so freaking cute. This is one that I try to read every November 9th. I meant to read it on November 9 last year, but then I forgot when the date came up. And I felt super, super sad. But this year for sure, I will be rereading this one on November 9th. I gotta. Next is a book that I just finished yesterday. I'm going to be talking about it more in my January wrap up. I just finished this book. And I'm still thinking about it. It was so good and so sad. That is 1,000 Broken Pieces by Tilly Cole. This is the sequel to 1,000 Boy Kisses. I loved 1,000 Boy Kisses as well, but I loved its sequel even more. It has to go in, I want to put in 6 stars so badly. That's how much I loved it. But I think this one needs to sit with me a while before I put it as a 6-star book. So for now, we're going to put it in You Will Be Remembered. And it also didn't make me cry. So it should go in I Cried. But yeah, we're going to put it in You Will Be Remembered. And I can't wait to talk about this one more. Next we have Infinity. This is the first book in a like a sci-fi series. That's what it is. This is one that I really enjoyed when I read it. Would I enjoy it now? I probably would, but the thing is I don't remember a lot about it. So I think we're going to put it in Who Is This? I think I would return to this one someday though. I do recall that it does deal with time travel, which I love. I love the time travel trope so much. Probably the main reason why I love this one so much. Next is Wait For You by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the first book in a series. Another one that I don't remember a lot of, but I remember loving it. Never continued on with this series, but I am going to get back into it someday. Next is Meet Cute. This is a anthology book. I don't recall anything about it, and I don't feel like I'd like it as much nowadays because I've read anthology books since then, and I have just not been into them at all. So I don't know why I rated this one 5 stars. I'm gonna put it in was I high because, like, why? I don't think it was that deserving of a 5-star book. I guess it was cute enough to warrant 5 stars, but I don't think it deserved it. Next is P.S. I Like You by Casey West. This was the first Casey West book I had ever read, and I adored it at the time that I read it. I feel like I would still like this book if I would have read it now. So it's gonna go in You Will Be Remembered, because I recall it being super cute. Now a book that I don't remember at all, which is crazy. That is Till Death by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Apparently I read this at some point, but I don't recall anything about it, which is crazy because it's by one of my favorite authors of all time. I can't tell you anything about this book. I will have to read this one for sure. We're going to put it in Who Is This? Because I don't remember the plot, don't remember the characters. All I remember is that it is a thriller, and that's it. So yeah, need to reread that one. Another book, well, the next 2 books actually I have read this month, and I have yet to talk about them in a wrap-up. Gonna talk about them both in my January wrap-up. But the first one is Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. I loved this book. I cannot wait to discuss it in my January wrap-up. It was so freaking good. It's gonna have to go in You Will Be Remembered. Next, A Storm Rises by Rose Garcia. This is a book that I got as an ARC in exchange for a review, which is awesome, and I appreciate it so much. I also got an ARC of the second book that comes out next month, which I plan to start today, so I'm gonna get on that one really soon. I loved this first book so freaking much. I hope I love the second book as much, but the first one, oh my god, it was so good, and I had never checked out any of these authors' books before, but this book was so good. It is a fantasy. It's actually romantasy, so if you're into romantasy, check this one out. I loved it. It's going to go in You Will Be Remembered because it was that good. Absolutely enjoyed it so much. And lastly, we have the Hunger Games trilogy. Oh my gosh, the Hunger Games. So nostalgic. I read these books when I was 14, so long ago, but these books meant so much to me when I first read them, and I feel like they still hold up. I feel like if I were to have first read these books in present day right now, I would have still enjoyed them. Would I have been as obsessed with them as I was when I was a teenager, when I hadn't been reading a lot of books, so I didn't have a lot of other books to compare them to? Probably not. But at the time when I first read these books, they were everything to me. I'm gonna put them in 6 stars because I think these are the quintessential books that got me into reading. Like, this was the start of reading for me, was the Hunger Games trilogy. And for that reason, they're always gonna mean that much to me. I haven't read these books in like 6 years, and I would love to get back into this trilogy. Just to see what I really think about them nowadays. That would be really interesting, but for sure, they're gonna stick with me. Absolutely. I mean, how could they not? They are iconic. The movie adaptations are amazing as well, but I do remember the books being just my entire world. So yeah, we're gonna put the Hunger Games trilogy in the 6-star tier. And that is it, guys. That is it. We've been sitting here forever. Man, I give a lot of books 5 stars. Like I said, nowadays I'm trying to be more picky about the books that I give 5 stars to. But yeah, back in, way back when, I used to easily give out 5 stars to books. Which, like, it's a good thing that I have a lot of books that I have given 5 stars to, because I want to be enjoying the majority of books that I am reading. So, of course, it's going to be a good thing that I have a lot of 5-star books that I have read. So, yeah, I'm happy about that. So, let's take a look. These are the books that I have in my 6-star tier. And I think this is a pretty good bunch. I think these are very, very accurate. These are just all the books that have changed my life in one way or another, and that I remember almost on the daily. So, yeah. A good bunch right there. This is the tier with the most books, is the You Will Be Remembered tier. These are the solid 5-star reads for me. So we have a bunch in there. And then the I Cried tier, just a few in there. We have the Who Is This tier, which has a good bunch in there as well. I need to return to a lot of these books so I can recall what they were about. If I do reread these books, it'll be like reading it for the first time again for me, which is kind of cool because I don't remember that much about them. And the Was I High tier, I knew this would be the tier with the least amount of books in them, which is good. Just all the books that I don't know why I gave 5 stars, because looking back, they're just not, they weren't really that good, not that deserving of a 5-star rating. So yeah, that's it. That is my tier list. That was super fun. I enjoyed doing that. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching me fill it out. But yeah, I guess that's all for me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll be back with a new one really soon. Bye!